football game of the year, and it feels fitting, given what has happened in the AFC East, that it's the Bills and Patriots. I realize, Josh, that the Chiefs keep on winning, but they're flirting with trouble. Another one-possession game yesterday against Atlanta. If the Falcons' Pro Bowl kicker does his job, that game goes to overtime. So let's say Buffalo wins again tonight. We know Kansas City has locked up the top seed. Beyond the standings, how much separation do you see heading into the playoffs between the Chiefs and the Bills?
It gets smaller every week, and as you said, the Chiefs, they keep pulling these, just doing barely enough to win, and after seeing that team in the playoffs last year, where they would go down by 10 or more points and then storm all the way back and win by 10, it never felt like there was great danger in falling behind. This year, though, it doesn't feel like that. It's Atlanta with nothing to play for in Week 16. Pushes you to that kind of limit, and we've seen Denver do it. We've seen a bunch of teams that aren't very good giving the Chiefs a hard time. I would think the Bills have every capability of doing so. Now, that said, I think your Chiefs team is going to know what the difference is between the playoffs and the regular season. And if you're in Arrowhead Stadium in the AFC Championship, I think things start swinging a little bit back towards the Chiefs side, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult than it may look on the surface for the Bills.
So, Josh, can I dust off the cliche? Is there a switch in Kansas City? And if so, the Chiefs, you think, could just flip it?
I think there's some thought of that. There's some feeling of that. Now, again, you've lost some players, Edwards-Helaire, and you're through the grind and these sort of these end weeks of the season when you know the playoffs are ahead and you know that you're already going there, that for players that have been there and done that, I think there is some aspect of that you think that you can turn the switch and turn it on. And we've seen teams do that. We've seen plenty of teams do that. We've also seen teams fall flat on their face when they get to that first playoff game. I would bet that it's going to be more likely that they can find the switch and find the right things the right levers to pull, especially if they have a couple of weeks to work on their first playoff game, which they will. And Andy Reid's history in that regard is great, and Patrick Mahomes is great, and so I think those things are going to work ultimately in their favor. But sometimes you flip that switch and the power's out.
Talking NFL with Josh Alper from ProFootballTalk.com. So, since we were focused on Kansas City and Buffalo, you got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Brilliant once more last night, 4 touchdown passes. How would you slot the MVP race? I'm giving it to Rodgers, but what would your ballot look like?
As of right now, I would say Rodgers. And I think I would probably, and this may be downgrading Patrick Mahomes because of how great Patrick Mahomes has been. I think I would probably vote Allen second place right now and Mahomes third. But I do think that there's some sense of, it's sort of like when Michael Jordan was playing or Mike Trout in baseball or LeBron right now, that you look for excuses not to name Patrick Mahomes MVP, and I think Rodgers is a clear number one choice this season, but it's probably, I would probably rank him that way right now.
Josh, I was making the case earlier in the program. If we're thinking about legacy, and I believe that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback currently playing in the NFL, with the understanding that Brady is the most accomplished and Mahomes could blow past Rodgers as the most talented, how important is it, big picture, that Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl? From my perspective, if you win 2, you're in a very different category from the all-time prism.
Yeah, I think it does. It kicks him definitely to another level, and I think the significance of being able to do it at this age and the significance of putting together a really as good a season as he's ever had, if not his best season, to win another MVP award, and if he were to add a Super Bowl to that, I think you're looking at the Brady Montana level of quarterbacks, where maybe he would be a notch below that right now because he has only won the one Super Bowl. But if he did add that second one and all the conference championship games and just all the success that he's had, I don't know how you could make a compelling case that he's not a top 5 quarterback of all time.
I'm Brian Weber, and for Jim Rome, we're talking NFL with Josh Alper from ProFootballTalk.com. Cam Newton, former league MVP, at one point it looked like he was a lock potentially to make it to the Hall of Fame. We know what's happened this year, and it was a low-risk investment for the Patriots when they signed him. But, Josh, as we go back to that summer decision, 31 other teams passed on Cam, who's been beat up even more this year. What do you think his future looks like as immediate as next season? I don't think he's playing for the Patriots. If he's playing someplace else, is he still going to be a starter week one?
That's the part that's so hard to figure out, because so much of that has to do with Cam and what he's willing to do. And I think that this year it's hard to make a case that he could go anywhere as an unquestioned starter right now. Would you want to bring him in a place where you draft a quarterback and say he starts for a while and then the other guy takes over? Is he going to handle that the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick has handled that? Or is that going to become more of a problematic situation? Are you going to find yourself having to build an offense for a specific kind of quarterback in Cam Newton and then have a completely different kind of quarterback playing behind him or in front of him? It's a very difficult game to play based on what we saw from him as a thrower this year. If he was still throwing the way he did in the past, and even if you weren't a team that was enamored of running the ball, you could make that deal. But if you can't generate more passing offense than he did this year, and look, the Patriots have no receivers, the offensive line was banged up, there's just a myriad of issues there. But there is little to suggest that he's capable of running a modern, high-powered passing offense. And I think it's very few teams that are going to be in a position to say, turn the keys over to him. It's hard to really think of one off the top of the head, because New England is the kind of team that is willing to take those risks a lot more than others.
Josh, you alluded to Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's never gone to the postseason in his career, in part because when he started for the Jets, remember he had that 5-interception game against the Bills, Week 17. So I can understand the mindset of Miami, Brian Flores saying, I'm going to go back to Tua as the starter. If Miami can beat Buffalo, they're going to the postseason on Sunday. And calling Fitzpatrick the relief pitcher, but couldn't you also make the argument, based on how well Fitzpatrick played on Saturday night, you should go with the veteran and start him this Sunday?
I'll give you the analogy from the movie Major League. When the Indians were playing the Yankees at the final game, they didn't start Charlie Sheen. They started Eddie Howe. And because he was the widely best to get them there. I think right now Ryan Fitzpatrick's the best quarterback. And I think that it's a little bit silly to be in a position like this and try and come up with a way of saying, well, if Tua isn't working out, then we're just going to go to Fitzpatrick. At some point, that system, you're going to be too far behind. You're going to leave your state, lift themselves with such little margin for error on Saturday night, and a face mask penalty is what really helped them get pushed over the top. That's I think a very dangerous game that Brian Flores is playing, especially with a Bills team that maybe is still going to be playing for the second seed. It's not like they're going to be laying down, I don't think. So I would go with Fitzpatrick. I know that history well. I grew up in New York as a Jets fan, so I remember that game and know it well. But I think that right now he's proven 2 of the last 3 weeks you benched your starter to bring in Fitzpatrick. I think that's telling you something more than just this is a guy who comes in and closes out games for us. There's an issue here that Tua is not quite ready for, and Fitzpatrick is.
Josh, as always, I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you have a great remainder of your holidays. Enjoy Monday Night Football, the last Sunday of the regular season, and we'll chat with you in the future here on CBS Sports Radio.
All right, Happy New Year, Brian.
Josh Alper, ProFootballTalk.com, long-suffering Jets observer from the New York tri-state area. We're going to make Josh our huge call. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Want to thank Josh. Want to thank Will Brinson from CBSSports.com. We kept it Spartan. Hello, John Spartan. Just 2 guests today. I will not overwhelm you with outside voices tomorrow, meaning I can take another call or 2. I took 1 today, so I'm feeling good about that. More of your tweets. Let me take you behind the curtain. I have a lousy phone. So I multitask with the production team, XR4TI, Adam and Garrett doing a great job today. So I will respond to your tweets now the program is winding down. I'm sure there are Booleans on a Big Word Monday, filled with joy, mirth, and merriment. We'll do it again without Adam tomorrow. Enjoy the remainder of your holiday week. I'll see you next year, bro. So that means Garrett slides over into the big chair. Oh my goodness. Maybe wearing a tuxedo and a top hat. I got Alvin flying the plane tomorrow. Les, I'm going to run the board. I do have an FCC license. Want to thank Craig Kitchen, Jim Rome, Mark Chernoff, all the great people at CBS Sports Radio. Thanks for your patience. I know it's a very different experience when Jim is not here, but we'll do it again tomorrow. I'm Brian Weber. You're in the jungle here on CBS Sports Radio.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate with